Hey there guys, what's going on? Gale here. Welcome back to another Genshin Impact video, and today we are here to talk about the 5 things I would like to see in the upcoming live stream, which is of course going to be not only the live stream that shows us not cry, but also the 5th anniversary live stream. Yes, of course, Genshin's approaching its 5th anniversary. This is the first time, if I'm not mistaken, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first time we're going to have an anniversary patch alongside a brand new region release patch. Previously, we've had, of course, big patches happen during the anniversary. For example, I think one of the biggest ones was literally the 1st anniversary, which a lot of people were frustrated about, of course, but it was the patch that obviously signified the end of Inazuma's main story. I think, if I'm not mistaken, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure the 4.2 patch was during the anniversary as well. And so obviously, you know, these previously anniversary patches have been big, but for me personally, having a new region come into play as well as having the anniversary, it's big. It is very massive because you've got new characters coming into play. It's effectively a fresh start. It's a lot of time for returning players to return, of course, right? It's a perfect time for returning players to return, of course, as well, purely because new region, new chance at experiencing a story maybe that they might appreciate more, that they might like more. And of course, it being the anniversary as well brings a lot of returning players anyways as well. So of course, with the fact that, you know, the upcoming live stream is going to possibly have big reveals happen potentially, I wanted to go over some things I would like to see from the live stream in terms of changes and new things that they might introduce into the game, of course, right? I have 5 things that I've listed down, and of course this list isn't probably going to, you know, be the same as everybody else, because trust me when I say this, I think everybody, when you ask anybody like what they would like to see, everyone will have at least 1 point different to another person. That's always going to happen when you have a big community, a community that's focused on various things. You know, one part of the community is focused on combat. You'll probably see somebody doing 12-3 of Spiral Abyss with like a plunge Diluc team from, you know, consisting of characters from over 5 years ago, standard release character as the main DPS. But on the other hand, you might have somebody, you know, working on their teapot, you know, making a beautiful place in their teapot, and then somebody else is probably just wandering the lands, exploring, you know, going around trying to get that 100% on their map, just as I have, of course, in my map, of course. So everybody's a bit different. Everybody's gonna have something different. Everybody's gonna have different focuses and of course different ones. So in the comments, let me know what you guys would like to see from Genshin Impact in this upcoming live stream, which I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I can be live for. If it's on Friday, definitely. If it's on Saturday or Sunday, a bit rough there potentially, but we'll see what we can do, of course. We'll see what we can do. Anyways, let's talk about the things I would like to see. And the first point I want to make, speaking of course of my own wants and desires, of course, I'm going to start off with a little bit of a more personal one, is of course focused on the exploration side of things. And for me personally, I'm going to be a bit greedy here and say that it's technically 2 things in one. One thing is unlikely to happen, but the other thing I think they can work on, especially considering their more recent updates. So the first thing I want to see happen, and this is more so somebody who actually doesn't use it, but I would like to see it be introduced just so that it's a bit more accessible, makes you still more immersed into the game itself rather than you just clicking and then, you know, going into the game and finding where it is and stuff like that. For me personally, I think the interactive map should be linkable to your in-game map. Now, the interactive map is something I personally don't use. I've gotten all these 100% without the use of the interactive map, which means potentially it's actually not even a true 100%. I will be honest and admit that I might be still missing a bunch of things through in the map itself, right? There might be like potential quests and stuff that could lead me to treasure and more chests that I haven't unlocked, right? It's very possible. I'm 100% certain that's definitely the case with the new map, to be quite honest, because a lot of the treasures in this new map are locked behind what is effectively a lot of quests and challenges and stuff like that. So I'm 100% confident in that I'm probably missing a lot of treasure on this part of the map. But I think if you allow us to use the interactive map, maybe not necessarily in-game itself, but at least allow us to link it to the actual, interactive map that's, promoted by Genshin themselves, I think that would be amazing. I think that would make life so much easier for people who want to get that 100%. It'll allow people to want to 100% their maps a lot more, allowing them to access, of course, the primo gems and stuff that they're missing, or maybe complaining about that they can't get the primo gems, it's locked behind exploration and exploration's too boring, it's not easy to find everything, and so on and so forth. I think that'll make things a lot more accessible and a lot more easier for players, in all honesty, and that's just my personal opinion. You guys can agree or disagree with me. Now, in correlation with the exploration point that I just made, and I think this is a little bit more, like I said, that first point, I don't know if they'll ever do it, to be quite honest, but the other point I wanted to make is more so on what I was just using a second ago, and that is, of course, the treasure compass. The treasure compass is fantastic. They've been updating it regularly, and it's gone through various iterations over the last year, basically. Ever since basically we were finishing off Fontaine and getting into Natland, the treasure compass has evolved to a point where, to be honest, it is probably like the most useful thing you can have, especially if you're looking for primo gems and stuff like that, because now what you have here is an item that allows you to basically find almost anything and everything. You can find treasure chests, you can find time trial challenges, you can find the Mora boxes that are littered across the map and add to your your progression, your exploration percentage. And especially because, of course, remember that, obviously it's gone now, or no, it shouldn't have gone. I don't think it should have gone, unless I'm being stupid about it. No, here it is. Literally, you get rewards now for, of course, complete or reaching a certain exploration progress during a patch or during a certain period of time. Of course, you get a very, very lenient amount of time, nearly 2 patches long, basically, right? I think, obviously, for me personally, the need of the treasure compass has grown exponentially, and especially with the addition of this, it's very important. So what I would like to see, and like I said, I think this is a little bit more likelier than the interactive map. For me personally, there's 2 things I'd like to see when it comes to compass in terms of changes or additions. One, add the oculi, allow us to find oculi potentially with the treasure compass. Now, I know that's what the oculi thing is for, we can craft those, but let's be real, those are kind of different in a way. When I say what we can use the treasure compass for, it's to find nearby oculi. What the oculi finder does is that if you are unable to find it, it just pings you the location, exactly gives you like a blue area where it is, right? It gives you a big huge circle, blue area, saying it's somewhere here, go find it. 2 different things. The compass will allow you to find what's near you. The oculi finders, for if it's far away, will give you that location immediately, right? So they can be worked and used in tandem as well. So I would love to see the treasure compass adding an oculi finder. But the second thing, and what I would like to see it improving on, is have a sort of like, a priority system, effectively, because as somebody who's used it, I've been led astray a little bit with this new map as well, to be quite honest, where it's just pinging me towards Mora boxes if it's nearer to me than the treasure chest. I think it would be better if the treasure chests were like top priority, if it was more of a priority based system, in that the treasure chest first, the time trials next, and if there's oculi, of course oculi would be above time trial challenges, and then the Mora boxes at the end. That should be the last thing I need to find, and the treasure compass leads me to be quite honest. So I would love to see that. If there's any more additions and changes that they can introduce, maybe allowing us to see multiple at the same time and stuff like that, that would be great. But that is the first thing I want to see. That is the first point I wanted to make from an exploration standpoint. I would like to see. Now, the second thing is, of course, regarding the summon system. Now, the summon system is going to be obviously a bit of an interesting one, because, to be honest, we've got a lot going on with the summon system over the last year or 2 now, where we've obviously had the Chronicle banners released. We've had, of course, changes to the weapon banner, all for the better, of course, right? Obviously going from 2 fate points to 1 fate point, and you're guaranteed your weapon and stuff like that. It's been great in that sense. Captured radiance as well, of course, right? But I now think that we need to take some stuff, and the next 2 or 3 points will probably be from HSR, to be quite honest. I'm gonna request some changes from HSR. Obviously, Genshin's done great things on its own accord, with the reroll system, of course, with the, the artifacts and stuff like that. They've done great. But now it's time to talk about the summons and stuff like that, characters, where they can take good things from HSR as well. Let's add some older characters to the 50-50 loss pool in the character event wish. I don't want to keep losing to Chi-Chi. I've got Chi-Chi at C6. I've had enough of Chi-Chi. I don't want to get more copies of Chi-Chi now. Let's be honest and real, to be honest. I'm tired. Where is she? I've had enough. I've had enough of getting her. I don't want her on my list anymore. So let me have the opportunity to choose between Venti or Klee or Tartaglia, somebody like that. You don't even have to add the Archons if you want to. I know, of course, Genshin likes to use the Archons as a big seller when it comes to banners. So you don't need the Archons itself. Let's add Klee, let's add Tartaglia, add Albedo, for example, right? These characters have not had reruns in ages either, to be honest, outside the Chronicle banners. So for me personally, just add those into 50-50 Lost Pool. You don't even need to add them to Standard. I'm not even saying to add them to Standard. I'm saying add them to the 50-50 Lost Pool, so to allow us to at least get them as alternatives to getting Chi-Chi, for example, or in my case, Monam, or somebody like that, right? It would be a lot better, and it would allow people to have the opportunity to get characters they actually want to get, while all the while making it a lot more interesting and more exciting for people to summon, rather than being like, oh no, not another Chi-Chi, oh, another 50-50 loss. You get what I mean? And not only that, what that allows you to do is it allows the weapon banners to also be a little bit better for when they do come back. So say, for example, you get Klee, or not necessarily Klee. Klee is not the best example here. Tartaglia, Polar Star, right? Gets you a good opportunity that when Tartaglia actually gets his banner back, or the Chronicle banners come back, you're more interested in going for the weapon banner, because obviously, I'll be honest and say, the Chronicle banner may be mid, to be honest. It may be mid, but I do think the weapon side of it is probably one of the better banners to go for, to be quite honest. I think the weapon side of Chronicle banners is seriously underrated, because you have just such a good plethora of options there, especially when we do get to later regions like Sumerun, Fontaine, and stuff like that. Those weapon banners might end up being some of the best banners to go for, So just something to keep in mind there, of course, when it comes to those things. Now, I want to switch over to another game here for this one, my third point, and that is, of course, a point I think that a lot of maybe combat aficionados would appreciate a bit more. It's a point that I think would be well, actually, I don't know if people would appreciate it entirely, because I'd see a lot of people having fun getting like absolute insane things going off. Why can I not bring up this screen? I don't know why I can't bring up this screen. It's very confusing to me. There we go. I'll just do this. Maybe this will work. Okay, there we go. I wanted to come to HSR a little bit zoomed in, but it's fine. I wanted to talk about buffs and the Nova Flare system that obviously HSR has. Now, don't get me wrong, I think that, of course, having the characters as they are in Genshin, there's a certain charm to it. And of course, we have seen that, HSR, or Genshin, sorry, older characters can still do extremely well. I mean, fuck, I literally on Twitter today, I saw, or X, on Twitter today, I saw that somebody was able to clear the clear floor 12 of Spiral Abyss this patch with like C1 Hu Tao with Inefa, and on the other side you had or no, not C1 with Inefa. That was something else entirely. I'll talk about that in a second as well. But it was C1 Hu Tao wait, and then Diluc Cryo Plunge. Like what? With Chongyun and Xianyun, of course, but still, that was insane. Diluc as a main DPS in this day and age, really? But the Inefa one I was talking about, yes, it was Inefa. Inefa is a great unit, brings in Lunar Charge and stuff like that, but still, Inefa with Eula as a main DPS. Like, come on, are you serious? Like, seriously, is that works now? As somebody who used to run used to run Eula, it's insane. But obviously, with Nova Flare, which is of course something that has been introduced in this game, and is something that's super important. As you can see, character enhancement here. You've got the enhanced state, you can switch it off and on as well. I think having Nova Flare is so useful, or this enhancement is so good. In all honesty, I think it would be amazing to see this in Genshin, because there are some units, and I'll be real, there are I say some units, there are quite a few units nowadays that are struggling in terms of what they have in their constellations and stuff. I know the biggest culprit of this is Tartaglia, who I don't have, but if you go and look at him, he is really questionable. But like, what is this constellation? I mean, come on. Venti's a freaking Archon, man. What is the point of this? Two additional arrows per aim shot, dealing 33% of the original arrow's damage. Are we being serious here? Seriously, is that a constellation that we're gonna really care about? This is a little bit better, but still, I mean, like, some of this is just what is this kind of thing, you know? So seeing buffs to these characters of old, would be honestly something I think a lot of people would like to see. And of course, it just makes it a lot better. It just makes a lot of older characters usable. A lot of fan favorites can be now utilized in the game a lot better, and it just allows people to enjoy the game a lot more, to be quite honest, especially those who may not, you know, be on the level of the combat aficionados necessarily, maybe playing more casually and stuff like that, but allows them to at least, you know, go ahead and use their use their older characters, I should say, in game modes like Stygian and you know, Imaginarium and so on and so forth. I think it would be nice. I think it would be nice. So that is obviously point number 3. If yeah, point number 3. I wasn't sure. That exploration point made me think that I had made way too many points. Now let's move on to point number 4, which is a very easy one, and it's a very simple one. I'm not gonna, you know, spend too much time on this one. It's as simple as just giving us an overflowing resin tank. I don't need to add any more. Just take it from HSR. Condensed resin can still be there, that's fine, all good. Maybe update or condensed resin to be a bit better or whatever, give us an infinite amount of condensed resin, that could also be fine as well. But just make it so that we can just have an overflowing tank of resin. Enough said. I don't need to add any more than that. Just helps casuals way more. If you can't log in every day, it helps you way more. Come on, everybody needs this. Everybody doesn't spend their lifetime on this game 24/7. Let's be real, right? So yes, overflowing resin tank, please. Thank you very much, Hoyoverse. I would appreciate it massively. Now, on to my final point. And this one, again, is as we're approaching a new region and, you know, having seen Durin, for example, in the trailer and stuff like that, seeing he's gonna have a major role, Scaramouche, Alice, and so on and so forth. Let's finally be able to access older content. I know that, of course, if you guys haven't heard, Genshin is no longer getting updates on PS4 inevitably. I think it's ending its support in February 2026, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody can correct me if my date is wrong there. And generally speaking, they're updating the requirements of the game come not cry, which is completely understandable. If they're planning on doing more, completely get it. One of the things I want to see them add more, however, is, of course, let's talk about it, and older content. And I get why they haven't been able to do it so far. Obviously, with as patches go ahead and so on and so forth, things can change in game in terms of models, in terms of you know, just generally the stability of the update, you know, version, patch, the area, the game itself. You don't want to really affect that by adding older content that could potentially break it, especially when you have limited regions like, you know, GAA and stuff like that. But I think it's time, you know, 5 years on, and, you know, now that we're getting into a point where older content and older stories are in, you know, directly influencing the main story of the game, you know, let us be able to access it. Stuff like the Durin story, of course, with, you know, Albedo and everything, that would help a lot. The stuff with just Alice's appearances whenever we've seen her not, you know, in GAA and stuff like that, again, helps out massively. Things like that would be so useful, and I think it's a shame that we still haven't gotten it. Now, fingers crossed they do add it at some point. It would be truly appreciated. But yeah, that's just my personal wish and hope, is that I hope that they do something there. So yeah, that is my 5 things I would like to see in terms of you know, 6.0 and just generally 6.x, to be quite honest, more so specifically. I don't know how many of these things will actually happen, to be quite honest, and I'm hoping and praying at least 2 of these things happen. That would be very, very nice, to be honest. In all honesty, it would be amazing if it does happen, 2 of these things, but we'll have to just wait and see. Now, I know a lot of you guys are probably wondering, what about the creatives, the people who do the teapots, as you said at the start of the video? Well, I kind of wanted to leave them to one side a little bit, purely because they did get their big announcement recently with the UGC content, right? I don't remember the exact name of it right now. I'm gonna have to go and look it up, to be quite honest, because I've completely forgotten it. But they did get their announcement. That is coming in, of course, 6.1. Yes, it's right here. The UGC gameplay system. Did they give it a name? Divine? No. What is it called? Does it even have a name? They've not given a name yet. Okay, never mind. I thought they had a name yet, but no, they've not given a name. But anyways, the UGC game mode is, of course, for those creatives. Now, in my personal opinion, I want to leave them to one side because they've got that mode, but I will give it an honorable mention that what I would like to see from it is us being able to access cross-server maps. Allow me to get maps from the Asian servers, you know, or the European servers. I'm on America, so European servers or Asian servers. Allow us to get stuff from the Chinese servers as well. It would be so much better if we are able to access these sort of things, because obviously with the teapot, unless it's been changed recently, one of the things I hated was that I saw these amazing maps on the Asian servers. Big shout outs to my Asian creatives. They absolutely cooked some of the maps up, and I wanted to take some of it so that I could work on it myself. I couldn't. They didn't allow me to copy paste the code in. They just said nope, doesn't exist. And it's like, well, seriously? I mean, you surely you should still have it on the servers or something, right? But no, it isn't. So they have to make the UGC content, in my opinion, cross server, because that would make things so much better. But let me know what you guys would like to see in the comments. I'm curious to see what you guys would like to see yourselves, because for me, those are the main things I want to see from this upcoming stream, or just generally from this upcoming patches that we're going to be getting. I would love to see this sort of stuff. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Of course, if you guys enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, all that sort of good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.